It's time to start building our game, and to do that, we're going to need some art. I usually like to start with a little bit of an environment and a player first because I feel like it lets me get right into the game, start to understand what I'm doing, and it makes it a lot more fun and interesting of a process. So to get started, the first thing we're going to need to do is download some art. We don't want to be creating our own art. You might be an artist and want to create your own art afterwards, but for this, we don't want to be creating our own art. We want to be focusing on the game creation, coding process, and all of the other things that matter. So the art that we're going to use for this course is actually, well, two sets. First, we're going to start off with some free online art that I really love from Kenny. You can check out the Kenny NL page to find all kinds of awesome art that you can download for free. And he's got some really great packs for $10 and $20 that I'd recommend you go check those out later. You don't need them to get started, but as you start to build your game up, you might see some cool stuff and want to go grab it, or just grab some more of the free packs. But the pack that I'm going to use to start is this Platformer Pack Redo, which has the latest version of the platformer assets that he's created in a slightly higher resolution than the old ones that were available before. So if you've downloaded these before or seen these before, they're just slightly upgraded ones that look a little bit nicer. I'll hit download and grab this file. And once the download finishes, I'll open it up with Explorer, or you can use your zip program if you prefer to use something that you have that deals with zips, or Finder if you're on a Mac. Now inside of this zip, you'll see that we've got a couple subfolders. There's a Sprite Sheets folder, a Vector folder, there's a Ken folder, which has some info on how to use things, and there's a PNG folder. The PNG folder has backgrounds, enemies, ground, HUD, items, particles, players. This is what we want. This is where all of the art assets that we actually want to use are. You can go down into here and see the details and see all of the different files in here. So how do we get these out of the zip and into our game? Well, first thing we're going to need to do is put a folder down into our project that we can put them into. But what I like to do first is just select all of these file or folders under the PNG folder, right click and choose copy, or hit Control or Command C to copy onto your clipboard. That's going to copy all of these folders onto the clipboard so we can paste them into our Unity project. Now I can't just right click and paste them into here, but I can right click, hit create, and choose folder and make an art folder. So we'll create a new art folder that we'll drop our files into. Again, that was just right click in this project view in the open empty space, hit create and choose folder, and then give it a name. I've named one art. I'll make another one named art2, and then I'm going to delete my art2 because I already have that art folder. Once you have your art folder though, just double click on it and then right click and choose show in Explorer or show in Finder. This should open up a window for you that you're used to. Just go right into the art subfolder. It's going to actually open you at the assets folder with that art folder selected. So just double click or hit enter. And then we're going to hit Control V or Command V to paste. Or you might be able to right click and paste, but I noticed in Windows 11 for some reason the paste option is missing, which is a little strange, probably something with the zip. Now that I've got all of these subfolders inside of my art folder, I should be able to use them, but notice that back here in Unity, I don't see it. It looks empty. As soon as I click over to the Unity editor, it's going to import all of these folders and all of the files underneath. Let's watch it happen. So I click, and there it goes. It's starting to pull in all of the different files that are in that zip file. It's going to have all of my subfolders right down here, and you can see it. Now I can go into perhaps the ground folder, and let's go take a look at grass, and I can see all of the different grass pieces that I can use to build out my game. I can go look at the planet folder, the sand, snow, and all that, and see all of the different art assets that we've now got available to use. There are some other asset packs that we can grab from Kenny that we'll talk about a little bit later, but for now we're just going to stick with the smaller pack and use this until we need something else, and we'll go through the process again of pulling in new things. So let's take a look at these art assets though, because there's something that we're going to need to adjust for just about all of them, and I find that it's a lot easier to just do them all at once than to do them later. Let's go select this dirt center, or whichever one you've got. You could be on ground, grass, whichever. Go grab one of the center icons here. And look down here at the bottom right. You'll see that it shows a preview of the graphic, and it says 128 x 128 RGB compressed, a bunch of other weird stuff that may or may not make any sense to you. What this is telling us the resolution of this image. So it's telling us that it's 128 pixels wide and 128 pixels tall. So each dot, there's 128 dots across, 128 down. Now that's really useful information if you know how to use it. So let me show you how to use it. What we need to do with that info is put it into this pixels per unit field. If we don't do this, things are going to be all weird throughout our entire process. So we want to do it right when we start to pull in our 2D art. We want to set this to be 128 and then choose the apply button. Now you can't tell anything happened and this didn't update it for all of our sprites. So we're going to need to do this modification for every single sprite and then start to build our game up after we've modified them. So how are we going to do it for every sprite? Well, down here in the project view, there are a couple cool little tools. And this one right here allows you to search for all of the sprites or all of things by a specific type. So I'm going to choose sprite, but I also need to make sure that I go up to the art folder first. So select the art folder, go up to the root art folder, and then search for sprites. Otherwise, I'll only find the ones that are children of that folder or maybe some subset. But if I go back to up to art and hit sprite, I should find everything. Should be able to scroll through, see all of my players and boxes and everything else. I think that looks good. I want to go now select everything except for these backgrounds. Well, actually, technically, I could just select the backgrounds too. So let's just select the first one, grab all the way down to the last, hold shift, and click, or you can just click in here and hit Control A. That'll select all of them. Then go to the pixels per unit field here, change this to be 128, and hit apply. Once that's done, it should finish importing and updating our assets. We'll be ready to go and ready to start putting things into our level and start building out a level.